Okay, I'm going to call this regular meeting of council to order. First, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Stanawas First Nation. First item of the agenda is adoption. I'll just make that motion that the January 14th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be adopted with additional information for items 7B, 9A, and B. There's a report to accompany item 10B and additional information for 11A. And further that that 11A is to follow section 15 of the agenda. Okay, well, we'll deal with this first and then, yeah. So that's what I'm moving. And then is there a seconder? Second by Councillor Lerner. And then for discussion, so Councillor Jones, is there an item you want to remove?
Yes, please. I'd like to remove item 11B.
Okay, just make sure I know which one that is. Oh, sorry, I'm looking, I don't know why at 9, 11B. Okay. All right, so do we have a seconder to that amendment? So Councillor Savage, and then any discussion on removing that item? Okay, hearing nothing, I will move to call in question. All those in favor, opposed, that's carried unanimously. Back to the agenda as amended. Anything further? Okay, hearing nothing. And just for for council and public's and gallery's benefit, 11A has to do with public works facility motion, and that is to follow the in-camera section. And with that being said, what I will be proposing tonight, or essentially doing, is there will be there'll be two opportunities for public clarification. So if people want to stay, after the closed session of council is completed, they can do that. And then it is planned to debate 11A after the closed session. So if there's any public clarification after that, I will entertain that at that point in time. So long-winded. Anyways, I'll move to call in the question on the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Moving on to mayor and council verbal updates. So Councillor Mundell, if you wish.
Nothing major, just a little reminder, just noticing driving through the neighborhoods these days, I sometimes see kids or people walking dogs. And sometimes you don't see them because it's so dark. So I'm just a friendly reminder, high-vis vests, bright colors, they're always a good idea. It's still not bright enough for you to be seen really well. So, and we don't have a whole lot of sidewalks, so often folks are on the sides of the roads. So just a reminder. Thanks.
Councillor Jones. And for myself, yeah, also the adults out there that are wearing dark clothes, put on something lighter and reflective, that'd be good too. Anyways, Councillor Savage.
Yeah, it's just that I had a plumber all day at my house. Just so you know, I'm helping to improve the infrastructure of Lantzville in my own way.
Dare I ask? No. Go ahead, Councillor Lerner.
Thank you. Just first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. And just a note to my fellow councillors that the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities is coming up in Victoria in April, and I'm just encouraging as many members of the council who can attend as possible to do so. I think this is going to be a very important one. We're facing some very interesting provincial legislation that could be debated at that conference, and at the same time, I think we're heading into the municipal election year, and that is something that I think we'll see more discussion of at AVICC. So I just encourage people to attend. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, so that's done. Moving on to item 4 of the agenda. So this has to do with our public hearing that is scheduled for this evening. So we have a public and statutory hearing. I'll just kind of read out the preamble. So this is a District of Lantzville Official Community Plan Bylaw number 150-2019, amendment for 6910 Lantzville Road, bylaw number 424-2025, and District of Lantzville zoning bylaw number 180-2020 amendment for 6910 Lantzville Road, bylaw number 425-2025. So at this point, I'll just kind of keep going and then I'll get into my script. So the public hearing notice was provided on December 31st, 2025 and January 7th of 2026, and after second reading of bylaw 424 and 425 on December 10th, 2025. A staff report was presented December 10th, 2025 for first and second reading. Public input was received and posted to the District of Lantzville website and attached to this agenda at the time of publishing the agenda, January 14th, 2026. Note, information and public submissions regarding the above application received prior to the public hearing notice not listed above were received following the received following the distribution of this agenda up to 12 noon on Wednesday, January 14th, will become part of the public record, be shared with council, and will be posted to lantzville.ca. All public input submitted for public record and forming part of this agenda requires the submitter's name and address. So at this point, I'll move into my lovely script. Hopefully, everybody will stay awake for it. For this evening, so basically, this has to do with the zoning for the long-term care facility. So good evening, and on behalf of council, I'd like to welcome everyone watching via the live stream, participating in the public hearing remotely by Zoom, and those attending in person. This public hearing is being conducted pursuant to the Local Government Act, Community Charter, and Council Procedure Bylaw for the purpose of council to receive and consider input from all persons who believe that their interest in property is affected by proposed District of Lantzville Official Community Plan Bylaw number 150-2019 Amendment 6910 Lantzville Road, bylaw number 424-2025, and District of Lantzville zoning bylaw number 180-2020, amendment for 6910 Lantzville Road, bylaw number 425-2025. We have adapted our public hearing procedures to facilitate remote and in-person participation. The council chamber at Municipal Hall is located at 7192 Lantzville Road and is also open with limited seating for members of the public who do not have the ability to connect to the public hearing electronically, so that you can attend in person to watch and listen and ensure that you have an opportunity to be heard. If you wish to speak and have not yet registered, we ask that you register now. For those of you who are watching via our live stream, please note that you can still join the Zoom webinar to speak to the proposed bylaws under the agenda item 9A and 9B by going to lantzville.ca, clicking on January 14th in the eScribe calendar, and following the instructions to register in the Zoom webinar link provided. The purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for council to receive and consider input from persons who believe that their interest in property is affected by proposed bylaws number 424 and 425. It is not an opportunity to debate the merits of the proposed bylaws with either council members, staff, or members of the audience who may be opposed to your particular view. Nor is it an opportunity for members of the public to ask questions about bylaws numbers 424 and 425. Those in the gallery, please refrain from talking, turn off your cell phones, and clapping and booing are both not permitted, so we can ensure that everybody has the opportunity to be heard, not feel intimidated. As the chair, I ask that you restrict your comments to the proposed bylaws number 424 and 425 and be as brief and concise as possible. Council members may, if they so wish, ask questions of you following your presentation. However, the main function of council during this hearing is to listen to the views of the public. It is not it's not the function of council to debate the merits of the proposed bylaws number 424 and 425 with individual citizens. Those in the council chamber who wish to speak can register by signing the speakers list located at the table at the front entrance of the council's chamber. Those who have registered via Zoom will be given first opportunity to speak, and then those registered in the council chamber. All speakers lists will be managed by staff in person from the council chamber. Speakers participating via Zoom must remain muted until your name is called, and muted again once you have concluded your remarks. Please do not hang up or leave the webinar if you wish to speak again. Once the first opportunity speakers lists have been exhausted, I will call for a second and third and even fourth time for people or residents that have new information to present and wish to speak again. Remote participants, please use the Zoom raise hand feature to indicate that you would like to speak again. This function can be found in your Zoom webinar controls. If you have, if you are participating by telephone, the raise hand function can be activated by pressing *9 on your keypad. I am asking speakers to respect a 3-minute time limit for each turn in order that everyone who wishes to speak is able to do so. It doesn't have it in my script, but what will happen is if you are nearing the end of your 3 minutes, I will hold up my yellow clipboard here just to indicate you've got 15 seconds left. And I will cut you off, but you have opportunity to speak in if you so wish to do so. Speakers may speak more than once if they are providing new or additional information. Following the closure of the hearing, council must not receive further submissions or correspondence from the public concerning the proposed bylaws. If you are seeking clarification on specific issues regarding the bylaws after this evening, please direct your inquiries to district staff. Immediately following the close of tonight's public hearing, the regular council meeting will continue with the agenda order. And at this point, we will now proceed to the public hearing for item 9A and 9B. It's quite repetitive, but I will keep going. This public hearing is being convened in order to consider proposed bylaw for District of Lantzville Community Plan Bylaw number 150/2019 or 2019 amendment for 6910 Lantzville Road Bylaw number 424/2025 and District of Lantzville Zoning Bylaw number 180/2020 amendment 6910 Lantzville Road Bylaw number 425/2025. During this public hearing, any person in attendance who believes that their interest in property is affected by proposed bylaws 424 and 425 shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the matters contained in the proposed bylaws. However, it is important that all who speak at this hearing restrict their remarks to the matters contained within the bylaws. Those of you who have registered to speak concerning the proposed bylaws should, at the appropriate time after your name has been called to speak, begin your comments by clearly stating your name and civic address. After this hearing has concluded, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes is proper to the representations made at this hearing. I will now call on the Director of Planning and Community Services, Mr. George Robinson, to introduce proposed bylaws 424 and 425.
Good evening, Your Worship, and members of council and members of the community. The proposed bylaws are amendments to the official community plan and the zoning bylaw to facilitate the development of a long-term care facility and associated ancillary uses. That includes a rezoning from the future special area plan zone, or FSAP zone, to the community services 1 zone, and to consider text amendments to the official community plan to facilitate the development of this long-term care facility.
Great, thank you for that. Sorry, my iPad timed out on me. Oh, well, I'll skip that. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I will call for the first time persons registered remotely and in the council chamber who believe that their interest in property is affected by proposed bylaws 424 and 425. Please wait for your name to be called, and when it is your turn, please state your full name and civic address. So at this point, staff will proceed through the remote registrant list. Okay, that was short. And now we will, I guess staff has delegated this to me, so I will call for those registered in person. All right, so again, when it is your turn, please come to the podium and you will give us your input regarding the proposed bylaws. You will have up to 3 minutes to speak. I will let speakers know when they have 30, actually it says 30 seconds, I lied earlier, but hey, I'm a politician. So we'll go with the 30-second. I'll hold up my clipboard to warn you, and when your time is approaching being up. So at this point, we have Tom Whips, if you can come to the podium.
Thank you. Good evening and Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm going to speak in support of this amendment to make this project move forward. I don't have a big issue with the location of it. I've read some of the concerns. I I don't follow, but as for this height of it, 6 stories doesn't seem all that inappropriate for that location. And I think beyond that, without getting into nitty-gritties, I mean, you can't deny this facility is needed somewhere. And I think it'll be of a benefit to our community to have it here. And I don't know of a better place to put it than at the top corner of our district. And again, I say, I don't have an issue with 6 stories. So I hope you deliberate long and hard and come to a positive conclusion on this. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Could you just state your address for the record as well, please?
I'm sorry, 6829 Stone Road. My name's Tom Whips.
Okay, thank you. I was too busy fiddling around with my phone to get the timer. Okay, so at this point, I will call on Grant Lantzville. Come to the podium, please.
I'm just gonna read.
So
Grant
just
Lansdale,
name, yeah, there you go, sorry.
Grant Lansdale, 6905 Rosalind Crescent, north side of the property. Adjacent, so I sent this to all the council members. I'm not sure, I don't see it over there or anything like that, but I'll be as brief as I can. Dear Planning Department, Mayor and Council, appropriate authorities. We are writing to communicate our concerns regarding the proposed long-term care development located 6910 Lantzville Road. We reside at 6905 Rosalind Crescent immediately. Thank you. We would like to begin by emphasizing that we understand the importance of long-term care facilities and are fully supportive of this much-needed development. We are not opposed to the project itself. However, we do have concerns regarding the potential impacts this development may have on our neighborhood and our property and property values. First, the height of the building exceeds that of the existing tree buffer between the development and the adjacent residential properties. This raises concerns about reduced sun exposure, increased light pollution, and a loss of privacy for nearby homes in our neighborhood. Second, we understand there is a proposed pathway planned within forested buffer area. While we recognize the benefits such pathway may provide residents of the facility, we are concerned that it may further reduce privacy of our neighboring homes and potential results removal of additional trees within the buffer. Third, we note that the setback allowance was reduced from 30 to 20 when the development was changed from 3-story to 6 stories. Going the wrong way, by the way. Development has since increased to 6 stories. In light of these concerns, we respectfully submit the following questions and suggestions for your considerations. And again, suggestions as opposed to just complaining. We're not that. While we understand that we do not have the option to dispute the height or overall design of the building, we ask whether a process can be put in place to ensure the light pollution from the facility is carefully considered. We support the idea of the pathway for residents of the facility. However, the proposed that additional trees planted that or a
You have
fence
30 seconds.
constructed adjacent to the pathway to preserve privacy and residents along Rosalind Crescent. Given the increase in the building height in the 3-6 stories, we respectfully suggest the setback distance be reconsidered and adjusted better to scale for the development impact on the adjacent residential properties. We respect council, and I thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Timing was impeccable. So at this point, we'll call on Mr. Hans Larson. You're next.
Hans Larson, 7010 Owen Road. Mayor and Council, let me once again begin by saying that we recognize the need for more long-term care and hospice beds within our region. Over the past several years and on numerous occasions, I have presented my views of where such a large facility should not be built. Lantzville. Tonight, I'm not going to revisit those points other than to say that there still are, even after soliciting input on the Lantzville Community Hub, very few benefits unique to Lantzville. We have lived on Owen Road for over 35 years in a house that my dad and I built on a 1-acre lot, part of the old Bloods farm. During that time, we got to know all of our neighbors, now grown to 40 homes, and found that by and large, we have a really good group of people. In general, the same can also be said of the entire community. At times, it has been a struggle to maintain the characteristics of this very special place that we love, but it has always been worth it because we felt like we were all in it together. It being that we were not and didn't ever want to be Nanaimo. I began composing my input to council based on the significant concerns that I had already presented to you. Then I moved on to looking at it from the point of view of how it would impact our daily living and routine. While by no means insignificant, that got me thinking about how people who are in need of long-term care or hospice beds and their families will feel if they end up instead in a facility far away, or even worse, Nanaimo Regional General Hospital, due to a lack of beds and the domino effect that it has on almost everyone in the entire system. Healthcare in British Columbia, a highly integrated system, is in an ongoing crisis situation. While I still believe this project to have been a seriously flawed process from the get-go, starting over 5 years ago, and one for which we were unable to reach a statistically valid response from Lance villagers, the stark reality is that long-term care and hospice beds are desperately needed in our region. With an antiquated hospital tower that is being used as a holding area for seniors in need of long-term care, daily complex care, everyone loses, patients and their families, etc., staff, etc. We are still unhappy with this project for the many reasons I've already shared with council, but we mustn't allow those who need long-term care and hospice to pay the price for the systemic failures. With little time and even fewer options, it is the right thing to do.
You have 30 seconds.
I believe that Lantzville will experience the negative impacts beginning with the construction, which I've repeatedly highlighted to you all and all who would listen, but the provincial government has allowed the healthcare system to fall into such a state that we're really left with no choice. It certainly appears that Island Health is not interested in building smaller facilities such as would fill the local need and fit into our community. Even with a free density incentive if built in the village core, no one has been prepared to come forward to build private, small to moderate,
That's your
long-term care
3
facilities
minutes, Mr.
as
Larson.
envisioned in our Mythfish Community Plan.
You'll have additional opportunity to speak. At this point, we'll call on Janice Perino.
Thank you, Your Worship, and welcome our councillors. I'm usually saying welcome from my seat. I should say full disclosure. I'm Janice Perino. I live at 7155 Landcrest Terrace, but I am a councillor with the City of Nanaimo, and I'm also the chair of the Regional Hospital District. However, I am here tonight as a resident of Lantzville. I could spend this entire time talking to you about how important it is to have that particular area where this long-term care facility is proposed cleaned up and what that will mean, thank goodness. I could also spend a great deal of time telling you about how quiet long-term care facilities generally are. I want you to know I've spent most of my career in healthcare. I've seen an awful lot. We have between 50 to 100 patients in NRGH that are too sick to be at home and not sick enough to be in an acute care hospital like NRGH. They need long-term care. To say that this project is important is the understatement of the year. There is not a single space currently available. We have to wait until patients, residents in the long-term care facilities pass away before a new resident can be put into that place. So this is an important project for many, many regions. It will also affect not only Nanaimo and not only the surrounding areas, but if it's important that we know that Lantzville residents will use it, including everyone in this room who will eventually be aging to the point where we need long-term care. I want you to know, more important than anything else, if this project does not go forward, this community and the communities around this area will be affected for decades. So I literally ask you to consider your vote very carefully, because saying no to this is a terrible, terrible shame. Are there better locations for it? I wish there were. Are there, do I wish it was 6 stories or less than 6 stories? Possibly, but I think after it's built, you won't even notice that it's there, and it's quite enough. I do appreciate the comment about the light, because there will be some, and that's an important note. I appreciated hearing that comment. But this important project, the staff at NRGH are not trained to deal with our long-term residents. We need this project more than anything else, and I do hope you will approve it tonight. You'll certainly get my vote in October if you do. Thank you so much.
Okay, it's almost gonna have to hold up my clipboard, but you beat the 30-second buzzer. At this point, I'll call on Dave Scott.
Dave Scott, 6898 Harwood Drive. Long-term care, seniors housing has been talked about in Lantzville for a long time. When I was a improvement district trustee, probably 20 years, well, over 20 years ago now, 25 years ago at least, it was talked about then. It's needed not only in Lantzville, but the broader area. I'm obviously in support of putting this facility in, recognizing that it will have some impact on neighbors. Change always does have impact. Obviously, it's a big empty lot right now, so anything that would happen there would have some impact. One positive side of it going in there is it will potentially block noise from the highway for those people that live adjacent to the property. So it should hopefully reduce highway noise for them. Another point that I don't think is really considered with the location, although it's in Lantzville, some people think it should go in Nanaimo. It's adjacent to Woodgrove Mall, so for residents with family, they can take them over to the mall. It's in very close proximity. And also, Woodgrove is a major transportation hub. It's probably the largest transit hub in the city. So for staffing purposes or for visitors coming to visit people in the facility, they'll be able to do it by transit. So hopefully a fair number of people will use transit to access the facility, and therefore parking hopefully won't be a problem. Anyways, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Robin Love next. Got to take the long way around. Just think about all those extra steps.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you. I'm Robin Love, 6679 Elm Road. I'm a retired family physician and an almost retired palliative care physician. You know, it's really tempting to view Lantzville as an independent unit, but healthcare is a much broader scale. And this is a critical piece of the puzzle for the future. It's easy to overlook that Lantzville residents, we already enjoy all the benefits of all the facilities in Nanaimo, the hospital, and there are at least a dozen significant long-term care facilities in Nanaimo, and as far as I can tell, 0 in Lantzville. The wait list that was mentioned, if you got admitted today and you needed to wait for a long-term care bed, you would wait for up to 2 years. In the meantime, you're in one of those 4-bed rooms up on floor 5 with a single washroom. Terrible place to be for the last months or even years of your life. This project would dramatically reduce that long-term care waiting list. And also the hospital almost every day is 50 to 100 patients over census, meaning more than we have beds for. So all those people are in the hallways and cupboards and closets, and this will make a big difference for that. We're the largest town in the country that doesn't have a residential hospice, and it's been like that for quite a few years. So I think that's a really important part for the community, and 18 to 20 bed hospice, which will be, I was at a meeting last week about the plans. It will be a very nice and appropriate facility that will be used. There's never a perfect location for such a facility, but if you look at the regional district area, boy, we sure need this. The hospital's becoming a terrible place to work. I don't know how the nurses do it. You know, there's a place there that has 10 beds in one room and one washroom that's out in the hallway. It's meant to be a very temporary holding area. People spend up to 2 weeks in those beds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this point, I will call for a second time for persons registered remotely and in the council chambers who believe they have new information to present and wish to speak again. If you wish to speak again, do we have anybody registered remotely? Just checking. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip that piece. Anybody on the phone? Okay, thank you. If you're in the council chambers and wish to speak again, please sign the second speaker's opportunity list for bylaws 424 and 425 located on the table at the entrance to the council chamber. So I'll allow for a little bit of time for that to happen.
Anyone else?
All right, thank you. All right, so again, I will go through the list. We only have one person on the list, but I'll call on Mr. Hans Larson. Again, just name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, Hans Larson, 7010 Owen Road. I'll just repeat the last sentence I said before I ran out of time. Even with a free density incentive, if built in the village core, no one has been prepared to come forward to build private, small to moderate scale long-term care facilities as envisioned in our official community plan. A considerably smaller facility, let's say half size, such as that planned for Campbell River, would address some of the concerns identified and should be more palatable to the community. But changing the design would take time. The site-specific design would take time, something we now have precious little of. It certainly feels like we're being forced into supporting this, with long delays, periods of inactivity, and multiple designs. Now the need is dire and with only one plan to implement. We care for our neighbors and fellow citizens, especially seniors and children, but we don't feel that we should have a duty to Island Health to make up for their shortcomings. After much discussion and introspection, and for the above stated reasons, we find ourselves in a place where we can neither oppose nor support the subject bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, through to staff, do we have anybody that snuck in on Zoom? Nobody's phoning in? No. All right, so for those watching online via our live stream, please note that you can still join the Zoom webinar to speak to proposed bylaws 424 and 425 by going to lantzville.ca. Click on the January 14th link in the eScribe calendar and follow the instructions to register in the Zoom webinar link provided. If you are in the council chambers and wish to speak again or a third time, you may go to the front and sign the third time speakers opportunity list for bylaws 424 and 425 located at the table at the entrance of the council chamber. So I have to pause now because it's in the script. And I have to allow people the opportunity to, that they are watching if there's a time lag and all that stuff, so. Nobody? Okay. All right, so before I close this hearing, I will ask if there's anybody else registered who is not registered remotely or in the council chamber who wishes to speak regarding bylaws 424 and 425. And if you wish to speak, we ask that you register now. So again, speakers list is there. And those who are listening via the live stream, you still have time. Again, I have another pause. All right, calling for a second time. More Jeopardy music in my head. Okay, calling for a third and final time for comments before the hearing is closed. After the close of this public hearing, council must not receive submissions from the public. Another pause. Still nobody online? Okay, good, just checking. Seeing no one who wishes to speak, I declare the public hearing for District of Lantzville Official Community Plan Bylaw Number 150-2019 Amendment 6910, Lantzville Road Bylaw Number 424-2025, and District of Lantzville Zoning Bylaw Number 180-2020 Amendment 6910, Lantzville Road Bylaw Number 425-2025 closed. So that concludes the public hearing. Thank you for everybody who participated and who listened and watched. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, we're moving on to item 6 in the agenda. So this is the consent agenda. Are there any items from the consent agenda being requested to be removed? Okay, hearing none, I will move that the consent agenda be approved as presented. Is there a second? A second by Councillor Savage. I'll move to call in question. All those in favor and opposed, that's carried unanimously. Next, we're moving on to public input period. So persons recognized by the chair to speak must first state their name and address for the record and may speak once for up to 2 minutes unless council resolves otherwise, and are limited to providing comment regarding items listed on the council agenda for this evening, excluding the public hearing that has just concluded. Comments must be directed to the chair and must not be directed to individual members of council, staff, or the audience, and must not include personal issues. Also, when people are speaking, no clapping, booing. Everybody needs to feel welcome when they're going to the podium. So at this point, are there any members of the gallery that wish to speak to any of the other items on this evening's agenda? Okay, seeing nobody rushing there, do we have anybody remotely registered at this point? No? Okay, thank you. All right, so we're moving on to number 9. This is legislative matters. So we have 9A. So this is a District of Lantzville Official Community Plan Bylaw Number 150-2019 Amendment 6910, Lantzville Road Bylaw Number 424-2025. So at this point, I will put the motion on the floor that the District of Lantzville Official Community Plan Bylaw Number 150-2019 Amendment 6910, Lantzville Road Bylaw Number 424-2025 be given third reading. Is there a second? Second by Councillor Savage. And then for discussion at this point, I'll forgo my speaking turn, but Councillor Savage, if you wish.
Yes, thank you. Evening to those who turned out tonight. Thanks for your input. So we didn't receive too many written submissions tonight. It was about 16 in support and 4 with concerns. And I've heard from other sources verbally, others in support. So one letter from a resident who lives close by, we heard from tonight, requested more trees be planted in the buffer forest next to Rosalind Crescent Homes. And the other request was avoid glaring nighttime lighting during the construction period and thereafter. And both these requests are reasonable. And the requested dark skies, minimal lighting will save on hydro bills and avoid light trap into neighboring properties as well as the bedrooms of the care facility occupants. So I'll be proposing to amend an upcoming motion by another councillor, this is after we deal with these motions, to include formally requesting both of these items during future discussions. So the whole RDN is paying for this, for part of this facility, and Lantzville represents only 2.24% of the total population of the RDN. And we're paying for around 1% of the cost of this facility. and the province has ultimate authority over zoning. So considering this, it's not surprising that Lantzville would have limited input into the design of the facility, and those that are affected, you certainly have my sympathy, and hopefully things can be, it works out well for it. But it's important to note there's two types of care facilities. The private ones can cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, while the provincial ones charge very little. There are waiting lists for provincial care facilities, sometimes several years to get into one. So I think it's a good thing Lantzville is supporting a solution for the need of more of these facilities, taking care of our seniors who contributed to our country is an important value. So not everyone can age in place in their homes, and also with the smaller facilities, they just don't have the medical support on hand for all people. So, and I do like the small facilities as well. Sometimes physical and mental challenges make a care facility the only option for end-of-life purposes. And in my family, we were always encouraged, and it was a principle in our family to care for the elderly and look after them. So starting in my youth, I visited many, many care facilities over the years, sometimes taking in a small Christmas tree, whatever. And I must agree with one of the speakers tonight. They're very quiet once you're on site. They're places that are very quiet. So, and a big thank you to Island Health for all their work on this. Over the many years, my experience with Island Health, with my kids and myself, has been exemplary and very caring. So much appreciated. So I'll be supporting this, as I believe it's the majority of Lantzville opinion, as well as addressing a provincial need. Thank you.
Hey, Councillor Lerner, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So it's been a long process over many years and multiple decision-making authorities to get to this place. And of course, as the process continues, we've seen a couple of residents speak tonight about the process itself. We can always learn as a municipality and as applicants ways to improve the process. But overall, I'm very supportive of this proposal. I believe that long-term care is desperately needed in central Vancouver Island and all of Vancouver Island. And I also believe that providing this fulfills OCP goals and requirements for long-term care in our community and services for seniors. And I also believe it provides for some of the strategic priorities of council as far as a livable community. This is something not just for Lantzville residents, of course, it's open to the entire island. But it does take a place that has no long-term care beds and add a large number. At the same time, we're also looking at hospice care, adult day use space, and childcare space that after discussion where council indicated a desire to see those spaces open to the public, assuming availability, that is something that Island Health has agreed to in their proposal, was to make those childcare spaces available. So we're not just getting a long-term care facility, we're also getting other amenities that we need. It has been brought up why Lantzville, and it's a fair enough point. We don't get to choose which site is purchased by Island Health or which site is proposed. But it is worth noting that other communities do have healthcare facilities in their communities for which they do take a sort of hit in property tax because property tax is not collected on these. So for example, Parksville has the Urgent Care Center, Nanaimo has a huge number of healthcare facilities, including, of course, the hospitals. So, if Lantzville says no, maybe Nanaimo says no, maybe Parksville says no, where will it go? So what will be the domino effect then on our healthcare system and the ability for beds to be available? It's worth noting providing these long-term care beds, as we've heard from some residents tonight, doesn't just provide space for those using the long-term care. It frees up space in the hospital for those needing acute care. So it has a domino effect for everyone. So it actually has further benefits down the line. And as I said, we don't receive municipal tax from this facility or a gift in lieu of tax, which I like the acronym GILT. I think it's the best acronym. But I also recognize, as I said, that other municipalities take that hit. I did prefer the 3-story design. I do think that was more in keeping with the municipality's sort of general ethos and feel. But I also understand that due to financial limitations, the province is not funding, a large amount of money towards an underground parkade. That has required the opportunity to put above-ground parking on the site, and that has required the construction of a higher story of buildings. I would be looking at the form and character stage to really see that those things in our OCP are followed, the dark night sky principles, which I think are especially important now that parking is proposed for above ground, because we don't want a parkade with a large, massive lights all night. But I do think that that's something that needs to be looked at by staff when they go through the form and character requirement checklist. And also other things like the preservation of green space. And I do have a notice of motion that is on the agenda, which is basically entirely at Island Health's discretion, but to help preserve some of that green space on the west side of the site through some sort of preservation agreement. But that is something that would be, of course, at the discretion of Island Health and for them to discuss. But I am supportive of third reading, and I do find that the applicant has been receptive to many of the ideas, including the daycare spaces, and has been good to work with and to hold multiple information sessions for the community. So I will be voting in favor. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jones, if you wish.
Yes, I'll keep it short since other councillors have gone through the key points very nicely. I don't need to repeat them. I am very much in support of this long-term care facility, not because I think perfection's been achieved. That's a very big ask, but because the need is so high, to deny it would be a really horrible thing to do to the seniors that are looking at needing long-term care in the future and to their families. We've heard from residents who have had their loved ones go into long-term care in Victoria, and that's a long drive for a daily visit, so you can rule that one out. Having it nearby will be of great benefit to people here. It's not a guarantee that if you're a senior in this area, you will be in this facility, but without this facility, you certainly have no chance of being here. So I do support it. There are some boxes that haven't been ticked yet. I think we will have a discussion about them after we get through these amendments. At least Councillor Savage has mentioned something he wants to bring up about lighting, and I agree also about that with lighting, and there are a couple of other small things that I'd just like to make sure those boxes will be ticked down the road. So I think we will do that a little bit after we go this round. So I'm very happy to see this. Thank you, Island Health and the province. It's much needed. It's been needed for a long time, and many people are feeling their stress level go down with the hope that this likely is going to happen in the near future.
Additional speakers, go ahead, Councillor Mandel.
Yeah, I also won't repeat what's already been said, but I agree with all of the points about needing this, and really we needed it probably 5 years ago even. And in my mind, it almost couldn't be built quick enough because it's in such dire straits with things at NRGH. As others have mentioned, is it perfect? Is it going to be the perfect fit anywhere it goes? Probably not. You know, there are going to be some challenges and some implications and some things that we don't like or that the neighborhood isn't entirely satisfied with. But I think that this proposal has done the best they could with the constraints that they're working within as well. So I look forward to the project. I think it will meet a need, and in some ways, in some capacity, I wish there were more room for more beds, because I think, in essence, or in some ways, it feels like there'll never be enough. But I'm glad that it's going to get started. So hopefully, when this moves forward, I'm really hoping the shovels will be in the ground quickly, so that we can really provide this much needed support to this area of Vancouver Island. So I will be very much in support of it.
Okay, for myself, I will keep it relatively short because it seems like this is going to be unanimous, and we do have a lot of other things on our agenda. But you know, there's a couple things, and I think it's important to get out to the public and also for council's benefit and debating council on this in a supportive kind of way. You know, we are in a third design, and the reality of the third design, it all has to do everything with cost saving measures. So the first design essentially was going to cost too much to build. Now we have a smaller footprint and we're going higher. And the reality is it's going to save the money. So, you know, the Island Health, our province, can be fiscally responsible in the delivery of this healthcare infrastructure. The other piece is, you know, Lantzville does contribute a little bit more, I think, than what Councillor Savage indicated. Sure, we might only represent, you know, 2.5% of the population, but our assessed values put us contributing probably closer to 4% of the overall costs. So we do have a significant stake in this. There's no doubt about it. However, I think and I've told this line all the way along, and I'll debate anybody on it, is this is a regional responsibility to provide quality health care to all our residents, doesn't matter where you are. And in fact, there's no guarantee, whether you live in Nanaimo or Lantzville, that you're gonna end up in this facility. You put down your top 3 choices, and even then, you might end up in your 4th choice. There's no guarantee. So even the folks who live in Nanaimo right now that wanna go to long-term care in Nanaimo, they may go somewhere else. So the reality is, this is much needed. And, you know, we've heard some reasons from some of the speakers. With respect to the other need, and we had spoken to it a little bit, this is part of an overall much larger plan to free up space in our tower. The tower is gonna take probably, even if it got approved tomorrow, it could be 8 to 10 years before it's constructed. This project is gonna take 3 years, and we're already a year behind, and it's no fault of Island Health. It's just we're a year behind getting shovels in the ground, and you know, it's gonna take, you know, 2 to 3, probably closer to 3 years until we start admitting people into this facility. It needs to happen. It's such an important thing. You know, why Lantzville? You know, I think it's important to address that. You know, this was a piece of property that was, you know, presented to the Nanaimo Hospital District Board as for possibility to purchase. There's a lot of in-camera discussions I'm not going to get into on that, but the question you have to ask yourself, and this is through the council, is where else are you going to find 8 acres of relatively flat land to construct on in our area that's relatively accessible without going on to the boonies or sticks? So that's a really important thing to consider, is where else are you going to find 8 acres? So I think we have lucked out, and it just so happens to be in our community, and we should be proud of that. Again, I've already mentioned we are 1 year behind. There's not much we can do about that. But more importantly, I think we have done, and Island Health has done a great job of coming up with a really quality design. And I don't think we should be talking down on that design. I think we should be lifting up the messaging and supporting a design that has come forward and is being proposed. Something we should all be very proud of. And they are listening. They are taking things, you know, that we are suggesting into consideration. You know, the reality is you can have the biggest, juiciest peach, you know, for someone to eat, but some people just don't like peaches. And this is that same kind of idea here, is you can have the best looking facility. Some people are just not gonna like it, but I can say safely and soundly that we are sufficing the majority of our residents and what they want and would like to see and have the option of potentially aging in place in their community. So without any further ado, I will move to calling the question unless there's new information. Councillor Jones?
Yes, thank you. I think we know where we all stand on this, which is great, but I just have a technical question. On page 45 of the agenda is the bylaw, the amendment that we're being asked to approve to the official community plan, and I just wonder through chair to staff if I could have clarification on the paragraph under Part B where it says, "A continuous wooded buffer with trees exceeding the height of proposed building shall be maintained along the northern boundary of the SPA. In combination with the existing district lane right-of-way in the area, the minimum width of forest buffer shall be 20 meters in general and 30 meters where buildings are 3 stories." The question that I have there through to staff is do we need to amend that? We're not looking at 3-story buildings, we're looking at 6, and we've already passed variance to take the 30 down to 20. So if I could just have clarification on that, please.
Director Robinson?
Through your worship to the councillor, the last sentence in that paragraph, which what applies to this site. So we're on the east side of the location of the right-of-way in the special plan area. So therefore, the required forest buffer shall be 20 meters regardless of building height.
Thank you. And the 3 stories, should that be reading 6 stories?
No, because that previous, if council will recall, you're amending text in a special area plan that applies to a number of properties. So what you're saying is you want this to apply on the east side of the location of the right-of-way, and the other rules are applying to the rest of the special plan area. So if you want to keep the sentence which says the 3-story, the 30 meters where buildings are 3 stories, that would apply to the other properties to the west of the long-term care facility site.
Thank you. So this isn't a site-specific amendment to the OCP then for this?
We're tailoring policies in the special plan area to facilitate the development of this site.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I move to call into question. All those in favor and opposed, that's unanimously passes. Okay. All right, moving on to the next one. So we have the District of Lantzville zoning bylaw number 180-2020 amendment, 6910 Lantzville Road bylaw number 425-2025. So District of Lantzville, so I'll make the motion that the District of Lantzville zoning bylaw number 180-2020 amendment, 6910 Lantzville Road bylaw number 425-2025 be given third reading. Is there a second or second by Councillor Savage? It's the first hand I saw when I looked up. And any debate on this? I think we're all good. All right, so I'll move to call in question. All those in favor and opposed, that's carried unanimously. All right, thank you. All right, moving on. I'm guessing nobody wants to leave. If you want to leave, you can. Or if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you may stay. It's up to you, but we can have a little pause if there's anybody who wants to get up and leave.
Missing all the fun.
Yeah. Okay, so we're moving on to 9C. So this is appointment election officials for the 2026 general local election. So there's a motion there. I don't know if there's anything to introduce with this, or can we just get right into it?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, there isn't anything, unless council has any questions about the motion.
Well, we can save that for debate. We got a heavy agenda, so.
Point of order?
Yeah, what's your point of order?
Sorry, did you need to go through the third reading for OCP and zoning separately, 9A and 9B?
It's already done.
Yeah.
But that's done then, like later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that pursuant to sections 58, 1 and 2 of the Local Community Act, Delcy Wells be appointed as Chief Election Officer for conducting the 2026 general local election and assent voting with the power to appoint other election officials as required for the administration and conduct of the 2026 general local election and assent voting, and further that Aria Long be appointed as Deputy Chief Election Officer for the 2026 general local election and assent voting with the power to appoint other election officials as required for the administration and conduct of the 2026 general local election and assent voting in the absence of the chief election officer. Second by Councillor Savage. Any discussion, questions? Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Yes, just want to thank Director Wells and Deputy Director Aria. It's a lot of extra work. We've seen it before, so thank you for that service and for stepping up. We certainly need it done. Someone's got to do it. I hope it's a fun process for you.
Okay, I'm going to move then to call in question. All those in favor, opposed, that's carried unanimously. Moving on, Councillor Lerner, you have a motion regarding AVICC. Go ahead and just leave out the whereases as usual.
Sure, therefore be it resolved that AVICC and UBCM advocate to the province of British Columbia to retroactively adjust the 5,000 person policing cost threshold to reflect the same percentage growth as the province population since 2007, and further that the province of British Columbia establish a policy ensuring that the policing cost threshold is therefore maintained as a consistent ratio in the provincial population to be updated following each official census.
So I think it's more the motion be referred, right, to AVICC, is that?
Yes, they
Yeah.
just had specific wording, a specific template to use, so I just followed their template.
Okay, sure. Anyways, that's fine. I'll second it, and then for discussion.
Thank
you
you. I'll
wish.
try and make it brief in the interest of time because a lot of the details are quite minute and they're in the report on page 52 of the agenda. But essentially, the province started in 2007 with legislation that required any municipality, when it hit 5,000 population, to have a substantially, significantly higher share of policing costs. That was almost 2 decades ago. And since then, the population of BC has continued to grow at an exponential pace, but that 5,000 threshold hasn't changed, which means that municipalities are now hitting that at a much faster pace. For example, instead of representing 0.116% of the population, it's now representing a much higher threshold. So the population has increased by 32%. Today, that same 0.116% threshold would be 6,600 people. But the province has never updated its legislation. And so this is basically asking UBCM and AVICC to advocate for small communities like Lantzville so that we have a chance to save enough money before we hit that threshold, and to keep that ratio consistent, whatever it is they might deem, and to do so based on not only retroactively, but in the future. And I included references to the BC stats, the municipal policing financial model, and the financing of new model adjustments in the province of BC. That's about it, but I'm happy to answer any questions council might have.
Okay, and Councillor Mandel?
Just a question, has this not already been presented to AVICC? I believe I recall something very similar to this. Is it just that it didn't get traction, or we just want to put it back on there? Is that why we're bringing this forward again?
Yeah, go ahead,
Your
Councillor
Worship,
Lerner.
I think it was something that another municipality started discussing. I don't think a province ever acted on it, and since then there's been elections and some changes in who's representing at the provincial level, so I want to get it back on the radar, and make sure that it's more sustainable for taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay, anything further before I call the question? Go ahead, Councillor Savage.
Yes, I wish you luck with this, Councillor Lerner. We had a councillor last term that presented such a thing to increase the population level before you got hit with these police cost increase. And we were given a whole list last term of the previous times this has been proposed, and it was many, many times over the years. It's been proposed to move this bar of 5,000 to a higher population and so on without success. And you're absolutely welcome to try again. I would suspect the dynamics are that the provincial government would be then bearing the cost of this, and their trend lately is to download costs, not to take them away from municipalities. And I've seen the dynamics of the bigger municipalities. They're thinking somewhat as well, we had to go through it, so we'd like you to as well, that sort of thing. So anyway, let's see what happens. Good luck with it.
Okay, I was just gonna propose an amendment, just so it's just a little bit more in order and gives clear direction to staff. So I'm gonna amend the motion on the floor by inserting before the motion as moved and seconded that the motion as presented along with the whereas clauses be forwarded to AVICC. Okay, probably semicolon, something to that effect, second by Councilor Lerner. For me, again, this is just gives clear direction as to what we're doing with this. So I should have called that earlier, and it's really the whole, whereases and as well as the motion that we're referring to AVICC on behalf of the District of Lantzville. So Councilor Lerner, and then discussion.
No,
on
no,
that.
I'm totally supportive of that. I just basically used the template they laid out, so I think this provides clarity, and I have no problem with the amendment.
Yeah, it's just more of a housekeeping thing, if anything. Okay. Anything on the amendment? Nothing. I'll call the question on amendment. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Then Councilor Jones.
Yes, thank you. No, I'm glad that you're having a go at this, Councilor Lerner. I do think it might be unsuccessful, sadly, but gosh, you're a pretty persuasive person, so maybe you will. But we do live in times where more burden of costs are being put on communities, and we know the province is broke. But I do feel that we should fight that trend. It's hard on taxpayers. Ultimately, they're the ones that end up bearing the cost, and more taxpayers are being asked to bear the burden for what in the past used to be, under the umbrella of social services in a country that provided services that were far superior to the ones at least south of the border. And it's important that we push wherever we can to try to, maintain the standards that we'd like to see in this country. So thank you for bringing this one, and good luck.
Okay, I'm gonna move then to calling the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. All right, it takes us on to the next item, so 10A. So I'll just get the motion on the floor that council approves the use of the general capital reserve for up to $125,000 in 2026 for the purpose of awarding the website request for proposals to the lead proponent, and further that the 2025 to 2029 financial plan be amended accordingly. Is there a seconder to that? Second by Councilor Lerner. And then for discussion, you can go ahead if you wish, Councilor Lerner.
Yes, thank you, Worship. So one of the things that I heard a lot about when I was knocking on doors was the accessibility of information and access to the municipality. The website came up as part of that, but just in general, the ability to get information, whether it's the ability to complete forms online or the ability to access minutes or anything like that. Some of this has already been vastly improved. This council did authorize software for building inspection and that was being used for that to also do rezoning. And I think that is something that's very important. I'm glad at the beginning of our term that we did that. And I think for the people in the community who are applying for rezoning, that is a piece of the puzzle. The other thing that was a piece of the puzzle, I think, has been the eScribe that we have moved to, because I find it's not, if you tried to search for something on an agenda, it was almost impossible. And with eScribe, you can actually go in by agenda item and click through to that specific item, and then within there, click through to the specific attachments and the agenda items, or you can see it all as one searchable package. So those are big improvements, but the website overall has not been changed in a very long time, probably decades. And so while things have been sort of, hobbling along with piecemeal approaches, it is something that I believe was within the strategic priorities of this council to improve that. I'm looking here at our strategic priorities, and it is there under resident engagement to have the redesign of the Lantzville website. It is right in there. It also talks about promotion of transparent communication. So I think that this fulfills that. I'm glad we've gotten an RFP process that's been competitive, and that we have what I think is a reasonable cost proposal. I think it is, I don't have that much experience in this particular area, but To give an example, I have had 2 website redesigns at organizations I've worked with, and they were much more expensive than this. Now, that's being said, they were probably much more complicated than this. But I think that it's the type of thing where you do once and hopefully it lasts another 10 years. And so I'm in support. Thank you.
Okay, additional speakers, go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Yes, so there are a couple of things that I need to have addressed before I can support this motion. The first is that I think the amount being asked for is 125,000, but the amount in the financial breakdown is closer to 55. So I don't know, I don't understand why we would want a motion with 125,000. Let me separate my questions and just direct that
So,
one first, please,
yeah.
through Chair to Director Sapola,
I think Director Wells, go ahead.
or Director Wells, thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to council. So I think Councillor Jones is looking at the report that I had done back in April, and we did get an estimate provided by the current website provider, and it was in the neighborhood of 55,000. And that's why we did the RFP, because our purchasing policy requires that if it's over 50,000. And we also wanted to have a lot of other enhancements to the new website, so we prepared the budget accordingly.
So that took it from 52,000 up to 125,000?
Yes.
Thank you. So the other information that I would like then would first be what are the enhancements so that we know where the money's going. But I'm a very visual person and I have no idea what this website is, if it's one that's used, the software used by other municipalities, in which case I would like the opportunity to take a look at that and see how user-friendly they are from the perspective of other people looking at them as well as staff. So that is one question. Is this software used by other municipalities? If so, which ones? And can we please have time to take a look? And then could we please have a report from staff? Verbal would be fine, but I'd like to know the pros and cons of this recommendation you're making compared to what some other municipalities have used, because there are a number of things, but one which is on my mind is that if we're using software, and I just a quick question, is this being designed specifically for Lantzville, or what other communities are using this software? If we could start there, that would be helpful. Through the chair, please, to staff.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to council. So when we were preparing the RFP, one of the things that we did was to look at various other websites in local governments in British Columbia. And in the RFP, which is the public document, we published all of the various aspects that we were looking for based on that review. So it will completely modernize our entire website and make it look much more user-friendly. It will also address accessibility requirements for persons with disabilities. It will offer many more automated services for residents. So one of the examples I talked about in the report is what we could do with public works service requests, just as one example. So we just need a lot more capacity in our website. And so we did do the review of the other local governments. The software that's used, it varies depending on the proponent. So some proponents have proprietary software that they're proposing, and others have open software that they're proposing. So there is a mix there. Our preference is to not use something that's proprietary, because then you get locked into a service provider that owns it. So we are favoring the more open concept, and one of them is WordPress and the other one is Drupal. Those are the two most common platforms that we saw.
Thank you. So I'd like just an time to, before approving this, so I'd just like to defer it to the next meeting, and then if staff can provide some websites that are using this software so that we can see, and also a breakdown of what the additional features that staff is asking for that take the cost from 52,000 to, I think it was 125,000. That's a lot. We don't have a lot of money right now. It may be that we need to do that in phases, where this year we do some and then some of those services are added on in the future. I don't know, but I'm just looking for more information so I can make a more informed decision here. Thank you.
Okay, additional speakers? Okay, for myself, I'm prepared to vote on this tonight. I don't need any further information. Staff has clearly done the work as staff should do. In terms of what my opinion of whatever the future website is and how it works for me is just one opinion. I think if staff has done a significant review of other municipalities and their software, website interfaces and so forth, and that works for me. It's time to move on, and this is going on for a while now. This is a request that just seems to be getting punted on the road, and it shouldn't be delayed. There's no need to delay it any further. I'd recommend to council that we actually do this tonight. Unless there's anything further, go ahead, Councillor Mundell.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this. It's a very large ticket item and also incurring fees, monthly fees too. It just, development phase, $500 a month, and then the monthly maintenance package of $250 a month. So I know that we're talking at, we're in this ballpark of $125,000, but it just sounds like this is just a very expensive package and very high maintenance fees. So again, we're a small municipality. This seems like a lot for a small municipality, and I don't feel comfortable supporting this without really knowing whether the community would want us to spend $125,000 on a website. So I'm likely to vote in opposition to this. I would have considered something a bit more reasonable for what I think our community would need and the size of our community as compared to some of the larger nearby communities and their websites. And obviously their needs are greater. No, I will likely not be supporting this.
Okay, Councillor, actually, first-time speakers, Councillor Savage, and then Councillor Lerner.
Yes, thank you. So for myself, I have to see this in the context of the budget and all the other capital expenditure proposals that are coming up. So I know where it all fits in. So two things have come up since last spring, and that's a public works facility that came out of the blue in the summer, and we've been looking into that. And then also the reservoir expansion grant from October. Both of those involve the general capital reserve. So and so some extremely important things that have come up, big ticket items. So I have to see it in the context of the budget, see what all our balances are and our reserves and so on. So I'll wait till everyone wants to speak on this, but I would refer it to the next budget meeting myself. So anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Lerner, and then myself.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like there's support around the table to pass this tonight, and I'd rather see it go to the budget meeting, which is a week away, than have it be defeated. So if that ends up being council's will, that's fine, but I would support it tonight. And I'll just list a couple quick things. One is, I think that part of our job as a municipality really comes down to providing service and good levels of service. And I think that our website, quite frankly, right now doesn't do that. And we're at a point where we paid whatever the going rate was for a website 10 or 20 years ago. The clock moved along. Now it's time to do it again. And in 10 or 20 years, we'll have to do it again. So it's not something that you build once and then because the technology continues to change. And as components expire, in the sense that they're obsolete, they're no longer supported, parts of the website will break down. And the problem with that is then it actually becomes far more expensive than these monthly maintenance fees to try and fix that. So the purpose of a monthly maintenance fee is that you sort of get a guarantee that things are going to continue to operate on your website. So I think it's a good idea. I'll get, for example, I've heard from residents who say, and staff mentioned the public service request, but we also, in addition to public works, we also have, for example, bylaw complaints. If you have a bylaw complaint, right now you have to fill out a form. That form either has to be emailed to you and you print it out and you fill it out and you scan it in. And if you don't have a printer or scanner, you can't do that. You come to Municipal Hall between 8:30 and 4:30, which if you work, you can't come during those hours. So being able to fill those sorts of requests out online is doesn't mean the paper options are eliminated, but it provides a higher level of service. So if we can reduce the time that's being spent by our staff on doing those items, we're probably saving enough money to justify the $200 a month or whatever. So anyway, I support it, but look, if there isn't the support around the table tonight, fine, we have a budget meeting in 1 week, we can deal with it then.
Okay, I got myself and then Councillor Jones. Yeah, so again, speaking in favor of the motion, and really I'm looking at page 55, so through council on page 55, it's the paragraph above the heading attachments. It just says, this review ensured an adequate and properly sized budget for the district and Lantzville project. This new website is expected to be relevant for up to 5 years, which at which time another update would be typically considered as technology advancements are very rapid and quickly becoming out of date. Our current website is over 15 years old, which is far beyond the lifespan of any website. This time is now. This is similar, Councillor Savage has already brought up Public Works now. We incorporated in 2003, this is part of our responsibilities here as a council, is to approve budgets so our staff can do work to provide services to our residents. It is that simple. I can't support a delay, so go ahead if you want to refer it to another meeting. Again, I just won't be supporting delay. It's time to get stuff done at this council table. So I'll leave my remarks there. Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Thank you. I'm certainly not saying that we don't need this, we do. But we do need to put it in perspective. It was in a previous budget where the budget for the upgrade was $13,000 and now we're up to $125,000. So I think it is, for me, I feel it's my responsibility to have a little better understanding of this, and it may be possible, like I say, to phase in some of these so we're not taking such a big hit in 2026. And I agree with Councillor Savage that really further discussion on this is something that belongs in the budget meeting. But as I've said earlier, I'd like a more visual understanding of what it is that we are approving. So with that, may I please make an amendment to the motion to defer the motion to next week's budget meeting on the 21st of January?
It's just a referral motion.
Referral, thank you, yeah.
Okay. So
Referral
just make sure
motion,
staff
please.
got that. Second by Councillor Savage. And then anything further, Councillor Jones?
No, thank you.
Councillor Savage.
No, thank you.
For myself, I won't be supporting a referral motion because we're going to be sitting here like this next week. And then what then? Through the council, what are we going to do then? It's time to pass this item. It's just that simple. So we're going to go to the budget meeting, and is the expectation then is can residents rely on this council to actually pass or approve that budget item? Or is it going to get further delayed by more questions, more second guessing of staff and the work that they've done on this? It's just like Public Works. It's time to build stuff right. And this is anyways, it's a new website. Of course, it's going to cost lots of money. It just does. I don't see it a proposal for a new IT department. A lot of communities, even smaller ones, have an IT person. We don't have that. So we are operationally going to be saving money, but obviously ongoing support is going to be needed. Anyways, I'll leave it there. I won't be supporting a referral. Go ahead, Councillor Lerner.
Yes, as I stated, I would support passing it tonight. I will support the referral simply because it looks like it would not pass tonight. And I feel that if this is defeated, it would be detrimental to the community. So I'll support postponing it by 1 week, but my hope is that it would be voted on. We actually don't approve the budget until April, but my hope is that it would be voted on at the next budget meeting, and maybe even as an early release of funds so that we don't lose this price. But I'll support the referral so that it's not defeated, but I do support the item.
Just as a point of clarification through to staff, maybe I'm misunderstanding here, but with the amending the financial plan for 2025 to 2029, would that not release the funds for this project? That, like, right away, we don't have to wait until we approve the 2026 to 2030 budget? Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. Again, this is out of principle. I just can't keep supporting kicking things down the path. I think it's the right thing to vote this referral motion down and actually support getting work done and not causing further delay. I just don't understand what's going to happen between now and next week. And I would expect that next week, should this referral motion pass, that it gets approved. And I think our residents expect that from this council. But I'll leave it there. I won't be supporting referral. Councillor Mundell, go ahead.
I think our residents expect us to be fiscally responsible with the money we have. And we have a very limited budget. We have $33,000 is a 1% tax increase. So I consider every dime that we spend in this community very seriously. So if everybody's just willy-nilly going to be fine with dropping $125,000 on a website, then that's one thing, but it doesn't land well with me. So just saying that, this is important, it has to be done. I would like to know what other options are out there before I just drop $125,000 of this community's money on something that, yes, we need it. But again, we are a very small community, and this is not something I would take very lightly when considering that we were going to spend $13,000 a few years ago. So this number to me was shocking, and it should be shocking to the community that we were asking them to spend $125,000 on a website. So there are big projects in our community that need to be done. Councillor Savage mentioned a few. There are many on the capital budget list that are important, things like culverts and roadways, and those are essential pieces. Yes, a website is important. Yes, it helps us do business. But for $125,000 for a website, to me seems excessive. So I do take this very seriously, and it's not something that I'm just trying to kick down the road. This is something where we need to be looking at our budget and our essential priorities and determining what this community needs. So I find it a bit insulting to be told that, we're just kicking projects down the road. We're taking our community's budget very seriously. So I would like to know what alternatives are available. And I don't know if a motion is needed for that, but I just can't get excited or be, I don't, in a week from now, for me, we can make this referral motion, but if there's no other option out there and available, I will likely not be supporting it then either.
Okay, so referral motion, speaking to that, go ahead, Councillor Savage.
Yes, I try to be scrupulous with budgets, and what I do is I measure all the capital requirements, see what the implications are for tax increases, see what the priorities for all these projects, and then measure it from there. That's a good thing. That's something I'm proud of. I think that's something everyone should do. So I'd like to do it within the context of the budget.
Okay, unless there's anything further, I will call the question on the referral motion. Okay, all those in favor and opposed, no emergency remains opposed, it carries. All right, so that takes us on to, actually 10B was removed, correct? Yeah, so we removed that. No? I thought it was, or which one did we remove? Oh, was it 11B? Yes. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, right, okay, I don't know why I said 10B. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Thank you. That council directs staff to proceed with the 3 projects listed below in attachment 1. The 3 projects are, and first of all, to coordinate with the Snanawas on a future active transportation route in the ENN corridor from Ware Road to the west end of the existing ENN shared pathway, across Superior Road to the Snanawas east boundary through Snanawas boundary. And this has been laid out as a project by the Parks and Trails Committee as project number 30. You have that on a table. Project number 30, actually, there's 4 components.
Councillor Jones, if you can just stick with the motion
Sorry,
and then we'll
sure.
get it on the floor.
Thank you, that's a good point, thank you. B, Ware Road to paint the road white line and add a bike lane, 1.5 meter bike lane, asphalt surface to the right of the white line on the west side of Ware Road from Alds Road to Phillip Road with additional space where feasible for pedestrians use. This is a portion of ID number 4 project. And lastly, C, Lantzville School Road, construct a shared pathway from Lantzville Road to the district parking lot with a permeable surface and within the road right-of-way that is the west portion of the Lantzville School Road right-of-way, and that's ID project number 8.
Okay, is there a seconder? Second by Councillor Savage, and then for discussion.
So just as a point of order?
Yeah, what's your point of order?
Can I ask that these these be severed into, can I make a request for severance for the 3 items?
To separate the 3 or
Yeah,
divide the motion?
divide into 3
motion
for
on the floor?
division, yes.
Yeah,
that's the
so
word I'm
division of
looking for.
questions being called, so we'll do a vote on that.
Fine with that,
If there's a seconder, seconded by, who wants to second that? Second by Councillor Savage, and then,
Sure.
okay, and I'll move to call in the question on division of the motions. All those in favor, opposed? That's carried unanimously. So we'll deal with A first, so go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor
So
Jones.
that's a good idea to look at them separately. So we have, as you know, hired active transportation consultants, and Sunanawas also has hired active transportation consultants, which we know from our neighbors that they are already working with the province and with Island Rail on expanding the active transportation corridor along the ENN, which is really fantastic news. Apparently, it's moving along very fast down south of us to get this corridor in place. It's not at the expense of rail. That's obviously still a question. It's along the side of rail. So in Lantzville, as you know, we got a section of that completed from Alds Road, where Clark Road and Alds Road intersect, going to Ware Road. And then the next section has not been done, and that is from Ware Road to the boundary with Snanawas. And Snanawas has a section of it going through their lands that they're working on, and then the west boundary of Snanawas, we are just before the highway underpass there by Pierce Woods Marine Park, and then on to the Lantzville border. So if you're not familiar with the ENN, you are now. That's the way it goes through Lantzville. And this is simply a timing thing here because our active transportation consultants are on a deadline, and they may well already be engaging and coordinating, sharing ideas, seeing if they can work together with the Snanawas. I don't know, so I think it would be great to have an update. Thank you, through the chair to Director Robinson.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Robinson.
Through your worship to the councillor, I may be able to share some information that would render this particular motion redundant. Our consulting team, Watt, is meeting with the news consulting team and the News Active Development Corporation later this month about this exact issue. So I don't see a need for staff direction on this. We're proceeding through the active transportation planning process right now, as you mentioned. We're actually coming back to the Parks and Trails Committee in February, as you're aware. So we're already actively working on this item, and we have another meeting with them later this month in January.
Thank you. So that's an excellent update, and I recommend that we remove this motion, item A, then. It's being dealt with. Thank you, Director Robinson.
Well, we have a seconder, and then actually, I have a referral motion that I proposed, but go
Nothing
ahead.
for me, thank you.
Nothing? Okay. Through to staff, would it not make sense just to refer this back to staff to be reviewed at the next working group meeting?
Happy to do that as well, sir.
Yeah, because then that will eventually flow back to council as an update. Okay. All right, so I'm going to refer the motion on the floor to the next joint working group meeting. I think it's scheduled for like, what, February 3rd? Okay, February 3rd, 2025. Is there a seconder to that? Second by Councillor Lerner. As I think council just heard, the reason for that is it just kind of keeps the information flowing and that will come back to council. So, because the two consulting firms are, connecting, so. All right, unless there's anything further, I'll call the question on the referral motion. All those in favor, opposed, that's carried unanimously. So we're on to the next item, B.
Yes, thank you. So B, this is a section of road where we've had numerous complaints over the year with respect to safety. It's Upper Ware Road on, as you know, the E&N Trail comes into Ware Road right by the railroad tracks there. And then when you go up the hill on the other side of the railroad tracks, there's a multi-use path on the east side of Ware Road, which is well-used and nice and safe as it's separated from the road. It takes you up to Ald's Road. From there, if you're on a bike or if you're walking, you have no option other than walking immediately beside Ware Road, where there are no end to the complaints about speeding, and hence the safety concerns. This is just a short section, though. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if we could do more, but the Foothills already in the phased development agreement will be working on active transportation to Phillip Road from the Foothills section. So there's no need for the district, at district expense at this time, while we'd like it now. I don't think we need to put that burden on the community financially. So this is just a section from, on Ware Roads from Ald's to Phillip. It's, I don't know, I didn't measure it, maybe at most 100 meters long. It isn't easy to do a separated pedestrian pathway from the road the way we were able to do from Leland to Huddlestone. So the next best thing here is to get the space which is considered safe on a road at that of a 50-kilometer speed limit, which provincial standards recommendations now, I'm not sure if standards apply to us, are for 1.5 meters to the right of a white line. So the full 1.5 meters is not currently asphalt. There's at times it's more like 1/2 to 2/3 of that. So we're talking about a small amount of asphalt to go down and widen it. In places, it's possible to put some gravel, permeable surface, semi-rural trail alongside that, but there are places where it's just too complicated, there isn't the space. So that's the way the motion is written the way it is, to try to get something done to improve the safety up there without going to a whole lot of trouble. I do not see this as being something that gets done tomorrow. Just to clarify that, asphalt, I believe there's a season for doing that, so this would probably be second quarter, maybe even third quarter of 2026, and staff obviously would need to take a look at it and come back to council with some report on the budget that would be required for that, because I'm not in a position to comment on what it would cost to add a small portion of that and put a white line down there. Thank you.
Okay, it's just through to CEO Lasher.
Thank you. I just, we were able to get some engineering feedback on this motion, so I'll read it out to you. If a 1.5 meter wide paved extension to the current road surface area is proposed on the north side of Ald's Road between Phillip and Ware Road, then there will likely be some conflicts with the existing drainage infrastructure and power poles in this area. There may also be some pinch points with the property line in some locations. We could do some preliminary CAD work to see what would fit and what items would need to be relocated. So I caution council on doing motions that are in conflict with engineering, and I ask that council do motions for staff to investigate with engineering what's possible. And right now, this motion is in conflict with the existing drainage infrastructure and power poles in the area, as well as the property, some property lines. So if council wants to amend the motion for staff to come back with what's possible, I don't believe that the 1.5 meter paved extension is going to be possible, number one. Number two, there's no budget. And number three, the exact location is also in question right now.
Okay, I have Councillor Savage. No, you can wait, and then Councillor Lerner, and then myself, and then Councillor Jones.
Yes, thank you. So very quickly, this, with the line painting, we have to hire a company from another area to do this, unless things have changed. But the last time we went through this is that you have to have a big clump of things to do before this painting company will bother with it. So just keep that in mind, that it could be a long time before we have enough lines to paint to warrant someone from elsewhere doing it. And I'll make the amendment to this, and that is to refer at the start of this, after B, to insert the words, to refer the following to staff for its
Sorry, Councillor Savage, it's just a referral motion. It's not an amendment.
What's that?
It's just a referral motion. You're going to refer the motion on the floor.
All right,
So, yeah,
I'll
and
just
then that's
refer
all
it, I'll refer this motion to staff.
And if there's any specific instruction, you can add that.
Well, I was going to say, I'll refer this motion to staff to investigate the, words fail me here, to investigate the possibility of this motion.
Okay, so do we have a second? Second by Councillor Jones. And this is a referral motion, so anything further, Councillor Savage?
No, I think efficacy was the word I was looking for, but anyway, forget it.
Okay, and then Councillor Jones is the seconder, just referring, speaking to the referral.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. I appreciate that engineering has some comment on it now, but obviously without taking a closer look and getting the measurements, it's hard to know. We do have district right-of-way beside our roads, so I was surprised to hear that there may be impact with private property, but in any case, this is operations, so yes, please, let's have engineering take a look at it. The provincial standard, the recommendation is if people are traveling at 50 kilometers or over, that there now be 1.5 meters to the right of a white line, so where possible, 1.5, but there may be places where it needs to pinch to 1. And yes, there are places where there's some ditch that's in the way, and there are places where it's wide open. So I'll look forward to seeing what engineering recommends with that. Thank you.
Any additional speakers to the referral? Go ahead, Councillor Lerner.
I'll just support the referral. My hope is when it comes back, it has comments on the feasibility regarding engineering, as has been mentioned. Also, the cost has been mentioned, so just having a general idea, it doesn't have to be specific, but of what we're looking at so we can determine whether we want to fund that. I'm very supportive of the project. I think it's a key part of our safety, but I would like to see what the cost is and also what the potential funding sources are. Whether, for example, could the active transportation grant balance help go towards this? So I support the referral motion for those reasons, and I look forward to it coming back maybe as part of our budget deliberations. Thank you.
I got myself and then Councillor Mundell. Yeah, in terms of the direction, I don't know how staff is going to interpret that, but my only concern with the way that was worded was I don't want to be paying for any significant engineering at this point. So I don't know if staff is going to be coming back with just a general overview of engineering before getting into any kind of detailed design and significant, hours being put in. So maybe staff can comment to the direction that's been given. Otherwise, we may need to further amend the referral motion to give specific guidance.
We can do a Class D estimate without design. In order to get a better estimate, you need to do design, which is gonna cost money. So if you want, we can bring back a Class D estimate.
Okay, so, and maybe we just need to give that clear direction, because I don't think that's gonna come as, with much expense, as if we're getting into detailed design,
Yeah.
which we should be having when, you know, when we're throwing around words like safety, and now all of a sudden, you know, we're identifying there could be liability issues and so on. Someone gets clipped and we don't have this engineered, and it's our, you know, what we're putting on the road, we could be liable, so. I'll just amend the referral motion to, to read, to include, Class D.
Class D estimate.
Class D estimate of the proposed, works. If there's a second by Counselor Lerner. I got nothing else further to the amendment to that. Counselor Lerner, anybody else? Okay, I'll call a question on the amendment. All those in favor, opposed, that's carried unanimously. And then I have Counselor Mundell next.
Just maybe a point of clarification, was there not already an amendment on the floor?
It was a referral.
Oh, referral, okay, thank you. Just a question through to staff. Do we have a road painting device? Did we not purchase one a few years ago? Was that not something we?
To your worship, to the councillor, to the best of our knowledge, that's a contracted out service.
Okay, I thought we had that in the budget and that we ended up buying one. Might be worth looking into anyway at some point, but I thought it was either like last year, or the year before, that we purchased one, but I could be wrong, so just was wondering that piece and wondered maybe it would save us a bit of money on that.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to call in a question. All those in favor, opposed, that's carried unanimously. And now we're on to C. Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Thank you. This is the last one. Lantzville School Road, this is at the Legion, across from the Legion. As you go along Lantzville School Road to the parking lot there, across from the Legion, the road right-of-way is a rather wide area, which is not currently road. There used to be some large bushes there, which Public Works trimmed down probably for visibility reasons. There's an old cedar tree that's been topped a few times down at the far end. This is the strip where there were, well, never mind, I won't say what there was there, that's not to be discussed right now. But the idea here is to put a shared pathway in that space to first do it as a gravel pathway because that's cost efficient, but as Lantzville grows and our village core gets, you know, upgraded again and again, I would imagine it would be appropriate to go some sort of hard surface with that pathway. But it would connect the parking lot to the village core. So people who are parking in the parking lot can walk along that pathway and then take the Tweed Hope Road crossing and go on to Coston Hall or Huddlestone Park, or they can, you know, turn up and go the post office way and that. So it's a really important connection, and when we have that connection to the village core, I think we'll have much more use of that parking lot for people who are looking for parking and now thinking that it's not an inviting, there isn't any walk that invites you to travel from that parking lot right now to the village core. The use for school kids during travel and parents is obvious. I don't think I need to go into that. As for the cost impact of this, I think it would be very low. I'll explain why in a minute, but we do have money in the Active Transportation Fund, also in one-time projects. We've hired another person at Public Works to be spending time on building trails in Lantzville, so we have the manpower. And other than manpower, the expense would be the digging of the trail, you know, the 4 inches down that you do or whatever depth it is to remove the organic matter and then put the gravel on the top, similar to what was done from Leland to Huddlestone. So this should be a very low budget and a very useful project for the community. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, CEO Lasher.
So if it's not on the plan, we don't have a cost for it. If you wish, we can get a Class D estimate, but right now, like, these two projects, Ware Road and Lantzville School Road, are nowhere to be found on our capital plan, on our budgeting. So in order for us to investigate, we need a motion from council to start investigating and bringing back Class D estimates.
First-time speakers? Go ahead, Councillor Lerner.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the idea of connecting these. I know that we have, the purpose of clearing that parking lot in such a large way was to get more opportunities for people to park there so they could shop at the businesses in our community. That being said, I do want to know what the cost is before we make a decision, and I think staff need to investigate that. My recommendation would be to, well, I'll just make the motion to refer the motion on the floor to staff to obtain a Class D estimate for this project, so that it can potentially be included in the 2026 capital plan for implementation.
Okay, I'll second that. And then anything further, Councillor Lerner?
Just that I want to see this proceed in 2026, so my hope is that it can get a Class D estimate, and then as long as the funding is not, as long as the cost isn't outrageous, we have the money to do it, I'd like to see it proceed as part of our 2026 capital plan. And I know that we're gonna be approving our budget by the end of April, so if that means it could potentially be done by beginning of, sometime in Q2, Q3, so thank you.
Okay, and I was just gonna speak as, excuse me, as a seconder. I support this motion. And also the referral of the motion. For me, it's just, and I'm sure council shares the same perspective on this. Safely moving, it doesn't matter if it's kids or the elderly or grown adults, from that parking lot along Lantzville School Road to that crosswalk so they can go across the road to the Legion or, and then take that other pedestrian crossing to the Costin Hall. And I think it needs to make sure we have really good design on that, simply because there's probably a much higher chance for conflict between vehicles and pedestrian traffic. So I think having just a basic trail and where it's really sometimes hard to delineate what's going on, it may not cut the mustard, but I would defer to staff and the engineers and the recommendations around safety and signage and so on. But I would anticipate this little stretch would probably require additional signage to ensure that the pedestrian traffic definitely stays on that path, because I think there could be a higher increase for pedestrian traffic conflict, or vehicular conflict. So anyways, I'll leave my remarks here. Additional speakers on referral. Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Yes, thank you. Those are all good points. Just clarification, that strip is, I think it's 20 feet wide, that additional road of way. So it would be possible to do something there which is simple and attractive. It could easily have something the width of a multi-use path, like I say, not going to the expense of asphalt surface just right now, but building it gravels in anticipation of that need in the future. I agree, a shared pathway sign, certainly would be needed. It may also be advisable to do some road crossing lines at Tweed Hope so that you can use the Tweed Hope crosswalk, and then you can cross the road after you've used it to the west side of Lantzville School Road, because that's where it is. But it is a very wide area, so there would be significant separation from the roads and, places to do some attractive design elements as well. The intent of this motion is that the work be done in-house. We have the public works person for this, and we have the backhoe for this. So when staff looks at it, that is what I was anticipating in the motion, that it would be looked at from that perspective rather than contracting out. But I'm very happy for this to go to staff now, for them to take the ball and run with it. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll move the call in question. All those in favor, opposed, that's carried unanimously. All right, so it takes us on to 10C. Councillor Jones, this is in relation to the District of Lantzville Development Approval Information Area Bylaw number 183, 2019. So go ahead.
The bylaw number 183, 2019, the bylaw to establish development approval information area requirements for the District of Lantzville be brought to council for review and discussion.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Lerner. Go ahead, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, that's simply not intending to put the burden on councillors right now to have done that, but I think it's on page 120. You'll see the bylaw. Let me just confirm that. I got the page right. Yes, page 119, 120, 121, 122. So it's a fairly short bylaw, but it's an interesting one because it does have a lot of things listed in it. On page 120, for example, it says what may be required at application stage and what may be required at development approval stage. So I'm hoping we can have a bit of a discussion about this. I wasn't thinking tonight, but at our next regular meeting, so council has time to take a look at things, and staff as well. I'm particularly interested for both these sections, the under application and development approval information. I'm interested to hear from staff as to what is normally they choose to require, because at the moment, this is a bylaw, but from what I can see, nothing is required here. So if you look under application on page 120, point number 3, the district official or council may require an applicant. And that is the language which is repeated through all of these points. Apologies if I missed something which is a must. But I thought we should take a look at this and get a better understanding of what staff considers a requirement and what is a may require. Good news is council can require things. And there's one thing which is really missing from this completely, and I think we had some advice on this or some discussions about it probably 2 years ago now, and that was tree management plan. And that the tree management plan needed to go into the bylaws, I think, and you know, when we talk about it, staff can give us their view. This might be where it goes, that the tree management plan is required at either application or development approval stage. So that is the main sort of trigger that it made me want to bring this to council. I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Councillor Lerner, if you wish.
Yeah, I'll just say I'll support the motion, bringing it to council. I will be looking for council discussion on this, but also staff's advice and expertise on what we can do to streamline processes, and that's you know, important. I don't think I have the headspace tonight to go into the details on this, and it might be something that we need to get, you know, see what staff recommends and what the community wants. And I do agree, we had discussed previously the tree management plan going in there as well. That was something that I think was key, the tree management plan. So I'll leave it there. I'll support the motion, and when this comes back, we can dive into it deeper with staff. It might be something that ends up at some point at a committee of the whole because it's so detailed. And then the committee can make recommendations on that. But for now, I'm fine to support the motion.
Okay, Director Robinson, and then Councillor Savage, myself, and then Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. A little bit of clarity here, as I think is in order. A development approval information bylaw, the whole point of the bylaw is to give district officials and council members the authority to ask for all this information if it's required. So for example, one of the items that you could ask for is a phasing plan. If the applicant is only proposing to build one house or one lot, there's no point in asking for a phasing plan. But if it was a larger subdivision that the applicant may be interested in phasing, you should absolutely know when those phases are coming in, because that impacts the extension of municipal services and the acceptance of different works. Another item in here gives us the ability to ask for an assessment under the riparian areas regulation. But if there's no stream or riparian area in a development site, then that's redundant. So the point of this bylaw is not to set a list of application requirements for an applicant to fulfill, but instead it gives municipal officials like the approving officer and members of council the authority to ask for this information if it's pertinent. So I just want to clarify that. The purpose of this bylaw is not to set application requirements, it's to give us the statutory authority to ask for these types of reports.
Okay, Councillor Savage.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Director Robinson. I was going to say the same thing. I'll do it real quick. We got to get through stuff tonight. So it's sections, I wasn't aware of these sections, but section 7B, we have the authority to request a rainwater management plan. Thank you.
Okay, for myself, sure, if council wants to do a review, I think the review probably would be best, conducted in a committee of the whole, because it would just allow for a more free-flowing discussion around maybe the concerns or suggestions for improving it or what have you. But I think with a lot of these requested items, they do come at expense to whoever's bringing forth the application. So just because you can ask doesn't mean you should ask. It'll make for a very challenging environment for potentially for developers that may not have to actually bring some of this stuff forward because there's not a strong enough rationale for it. And that's why we have staff. Staff are the gatekeepers in terms of determining, what is required when applications are being made and what needs to happen. But if there are any shortcomings, then that could be asked by council, but we'd still rely on staff's professional opinion to, is this a reasonable ask or not? So anyways, I'll leave my remarks there. Councillor Jones.
Yes, so thank you, Director Robinson, for that clarification. It's not, I personally don't feel we need to have a committee of the whole meeting on this. This is an extremely comprehensive list already of what a council and staff may want to require. There's just one glaring omission, and that's a tree management plan. Through to Director Robinson, in your opinion, is it appropriate to add that to the may require list under either application or development approval section?
An excellent question, Councillor. I would read that we already have the authority to do that under 7B, an assessment of the natural environment, including vegetation cover. So that's how I've read it into this bylaw before.
Would it be, for clarity, useful just to add a few words to that, including a tree management plan, just because it's a specific thing that is now in our tree bylaw that these be done and doesn't really, it's not specified anywhere, but I think it is a specific thing that is being asked of many applications. So could we just do a very simple amendment tonight to insert the words including a tree management plan into that one clause under H? Would that be the simple solution? Then we don't have to have committee of the whole meetings and all that, because really this looks pretty darn comprehensive as it is. Would you agree?
I don't think that would be required. In some cases, especially in a bylaw like this, a little bit of ambiguity so that we can read into things and ask for them. Generally, when planners like myself are processing these kinds of applications, we do a comprehensive review and ask for what makes sense and what bylaws empower us to do that. And so in this case, having a little bit of ambiguity about, vegetative cover rather than specifying it has to be a tree management plan may be helpful. So I read the bylaw as being pretty comprehensive as it is. You also have a tree protection bylaw, which enables us to ask for a tree management plan. So I don't think it's necessary to add that piece to the development information bylaw.
Okay, thank you. So maybe it doesn't belong here and it's a discussion for another day, hopefully, or perhaps you could just report on it sometime, Director Robinson. Where does the tree management plan come in? Does a tree management plan look like? Do we have a form for it that an applicant would look at? I think if I recall, there's just a little bit of work to do on that. We've got the bylaw, but I don't think the details on the plan have been done, And there's a Schedule A and maybe a Schedule B in the tree management plan that also hasn't been completed. So it's not a discussion for tonight. I didn't bring that up in the motion, but maybe it can just go on your radar and we can look at that another time. Thank you.
Councillor Lerner?
So just for clarification, I think this is a pretty exhaustive list that's in that bylaw, but we can't really amend the bylaw if we wanted to anyway, because we have to give a bylaw multiple readings with an opportunity for public input and everything like that. So my suggestion is just to pass the motion as is. If it comes back at it'll come back at a future council meeting for council to review. At that time, we might make no changes, and if we do want to make changes, then it would go through the proper process. But in the interest of time, I would recommend just passing the motion as is.
Okay, so, so you want it actually brought back to council for review and discussion at a later date?
At a later date, I don't think, we have so much tonight, I don't really think now's the time.
Okay. Well, I think, you know, for the sake of it, we could just simply have this added to a future committee, the whole meeting. That would make sense. And then that way it's not lost, but if that is important to council, if there are no amendments going to be made, then I would say defeat the motion entirely and just and move on. But if it's the intent of this council to want to maybe amend the bylaw or have a deeper dive into it, then I'd recommend referring it to future committee of the whole. I don't know when the next one is for just randos or random topics, but who knows, right? So, yeah. Councillor Jones?
I'm like this on it. On the one hand, I'm like, no, I don't think we need to bring it back. On the other hand, there are some things that need to be, I would like to see addressed, but this may not be the place for them. So part of me is like, let's just defeat this. We can have some discussions with staff and get a little bit more clarity on exactly what it is still needs to be done. I mean, maybe they're already working on the tree management plan form and on Schedule A of the tree bylaw. I have no idea. But we know that is unfinished business. I don't think that bringing this back is directly related to it. So unless another councillor sees something here that they know they want to do and change, I would just suggest we defeat it.
Yeah, I think there's nothing stopping this from coming back at a later date if that's what a councillor wants to do, and maybe it comes back as a recommendation for a future committee of the whole. But if it's not that important at this time, then I would agree just defeating it's the simplest path. Councillor Savage?
Yes, I've read it carefully, and it does give us the authority to request a tree management plan, in my opinion. So could we call the question, please?
Oh. All right, I'll move then to calling the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Yeah, sorry, opposed unanimously. There we go. Anyways, autopilot. You do, okay. All right, so that's that one. Moving on, so we have item 10D. So we have the January management report by our CAO. So I don't know if there's anything our CAO would like to say at first, and then if there's questions, we can open it to some questions.
I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that we have a CET engineering technologist starting on Monday. It took a lot of effort on behalf of Director Wells and myself to do several interviews and go through many candidates, and we're very happy with the candidate we're getting. And I think starting Monday, like the project management side, you're going to see a big difference moving forward. So thank you for being patient with us. His role will be a CET as well as a project manager. So we have more capacity built in, and we're quite excited to all share a project manager.
That's great news. I see Councillor Savage has a question. Go ahead, Councillor Savage.
Yes, thank you. I'll be real quick. We're doing so well on time. We want to keep the roll going. So first question, is there any update, please, on the 2 grants that Council directed in October? One was tree planting, the other was, they were both federal grants.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Director Robinson.
Yes, sir, we're working on the applications. I believe that the applications are due later this spring. Because there was one federal program that we weren't eligible for in the fall, and there's one program that is an open enrollment and one closes in the spring. So we are actively working on those applications, and I expect to have them
Great.
completed within the next month.
Great, thanks very much for that. And next one with the item is the Public Works section there. There we are. Thank you. So the first one is number one. They're the last two sentences here were the ones I'm referring to. And the first of the last two sentences, the statement, council needs to adopt the new water restriction conservation levels. This is an RDN, and my comments are, this is an RDN initiative. And you may not be aware, CAO Lasher, but council already voted no to this because Lantzville's an independent jurisdiction. We're not governed by the RDN. We can set our own water restrictions. Just so you know that this is, this statement is against what council already voted on. And the next one there states 0 capital projects were completed in 2025, either withdrawn or carried over to 2026. And this statement needs to be adjusted. There were a number of capital projects completed. The $700,000 thereabout Dickinson Road culvert replacement was completed this past summer. Leyland to Lantzville Road path was completed. The flashing lights with Cement Island at School Road crosswalk were done in 2025. Another batch of reflective address signs were done.
Okay, Councillor Savage, just, yeah.
If I could just finish, please, when a councillor speaking, thank you. The fire department equipment was purchased. New 1.5 acre park on Peterson Road was acquired, and I think a new pickup truck was purchased as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, CAO Lasher.
You are correct. There's a typo. That's supposed to be water. It's supposed to say 0 water projects were completed. And most of this had to do with water. And so my apologies. I should have put under Public Works water.
Okay.
All those items are water related. And I think the word somehow went missing. I guess I didn't put it in there, but yes, you're correct. These are not Public Works projects. They're all water. Everything underneath there is referring the water.
Okay, and then the report states the Lynn Millard water main replacement project was also carried over to 2026. Council approved this in 2024 for the 2025 budget, and I also wondered why this did not go ahead, slated to be done in 2025. Council also approved the first half of Dickinson Road replacement, the Bloods Creek culvert replacement, and $50,000 for safer protective jackets for the fire department. So if things were like the water main replacement for Millard and Lynn, if those were postponed or delayed until the next year, that's not in council's domain to implement projects, so that's really an internal matter. It's got nothing to do with council, so.
Okay, Director Robinson.
I'm going to take a shot at that one. As council may be aware, the former director of Public Works resigned, and a lot of projects were delayed or deferred due to that process, and a lack of staff project management capacity. This is one of the reasons why the CAO is bringing on a project manager and rejigging that position a little bit to help us to bring forward more capital projects in 2026. So largely, some of these projects were deferred because of capacity and turnover issues, as well as staffing issues in the Public Works Department.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem with any of it. I'm just wondering why it's in the report, and I won't say anything more. I'm going to leave it up to you. You don't even need to respond, but it's an internal matter, so perhaps you could see why that statement was put in. I'm puzzled, that's all.
Yes, it was water. My apologies. This entire section was to do with water, and
I
I don't know
see.
how the word got taken out, but it did.
Yeah.
It should say water.
Yeah, so at any rate, is it possible, please, to amend that statement that zero
Water. It should say
things...
zero water
Well,
capital
it's the-
projects. That's what it
Yeah,
should
it's the
say.
last statement. If we could have that fixed, please. Zero capital projects were completed in 2025. It's
So,
just...
Councillor Savage, what I'm going to suggest is that we just move on from this topic and, and let staff have a chance to amend the report. We don't have to do anything with it tonight.
Yeah,
It can be put on
could
our
I
next,
ask-
hold on. It can be put on our next council meeting agenda. But, it's coming off as a little bit of, is criticizing staff, and I think it's important that staff has a chance. You've made the issue known. Let them respond. If there's further comments, I would suggest put it in an email, and staff can amend the report.
Okay, well, I would like to find out, please, that if it can be fixed, because having it...
Well, I'll respond to that. I'm getting a bunch
was
of
my
nods from our
question.
CEO.
Yes, correct.
Yes, it
Yes,
can be
correct.
fixed.
Yeah, that's all I was asking. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
correct.
Yeah, and no judgment intended. I'm bringing it up because I do not want to comment that, his council or staff has done zero capital projects
Yeah,
in
no, it was
2025.
water and the word is missing and
simply
that's
just-
completely my fault and I don't know how that happened, but
No,
it
it's fine.
happened.
That's the thrust
Yeah.
of it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? So Councillor Jones?
Yes, thank you. So first, on a very positive note, I was on Lantzville Road today, and Public Works has run a cleaner and a grader along the north side of the road, cleaning up that whole space on the side of the road, which had a lot of debris from the trees, and so you wouldn't want to ride a bike along it anymore, and yet that's exactly the space for it. So it looks really great. So thank you to Public Works for that. One road down, how many to go? Yes, but anyway, it's most welcome. So I had a couple of questions, please. The first one is on page 124 under Human Resources, there is a posting for a casual finance clerk. Could you please clarify, is that a new position or a replacement hire for somebody who's left?
Yeah, go ahead, Director Spola.
Thank you, Your Worship. That is actually just a regular position that we have in the budget and have had for a number of years. We have a casual, they do coverage for vacation periods and things like that.
Oh, thank you. So no impact on the
No-
budget
no
going
impact
forward
on the
from
budget, no.
anything there. Thank you. And the other is under Human Resources on page 125. That's great. Congratulations. Look forward to meeting the CET and seeing him or her get to work. That's awesome. Is it correct to assume that the position which is listed under the website when you go to contact us, which says vacant Director of Public Works, that will be removed and replaced with this? Thank you. And does council need to formally remove that position, or is that just automatic? It's all fine?
So all positions report into the CAO. So in terms of adding positions, the CAO would come to you, but not deleting positions.
Thank you. Okay, so we don't need to take any action on that. That's great. And on page 127, under business licenses, I see that in 2025, there were a total of 30 new business licenses issued and 68 renewals. I'm not sure what the data was for 2024, but I have had several residents comment to me that they feel there are people working that do not have business licenses, and I'm just wondering if we have a system in place for ensuring that the contractors working in Lantzville do have a license.
Go ahead, Director Robinson.
Through your worship to the councillor, as part of every building permit issued, we ask for a license for the contractor.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, so, yeah, obviously staff will be probably adding that to our next agenda. We don't have to do anything with it this evening. Moving on, so we have, late items. Are there any late items? And just, refresh everybody's memory, 11A is gonna follow the in-camera tonight. And for the benefits of those in the gallery or the one person. Do we have anybody remotely registered? No? Okay. All right, so no late items, notices and motions of Councilor Lerner. I heard you had one, so go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and actually, I've done an excellent job of misplacing my paper here. One moment, I have it on here. Here we go, notice of motion. And this is basically, of course, not debatable or amendable. It is purely a notice of motion. The council directs staff to engage in discussions with Island Health to propose a 219 covenant be enacted as part of a phased development agreement or development permit to preserve the area of treed green space as indicated in the diagram presented with this motion on the west side of the property of the Lantzville Long-Term Care Facility. And further, that staff proceed with this, with said 219 covenant if Island Health agrees.
Okay, any other notices of motion? Okay, hearing none, then we have public clarification. So persons recognized by the chair to speak must first state their name and address for the record and the agenda item for which they are seeking clarification, excluding public hearing topics, and may speak once for up to 2 minutes to ask clarification questions, for example, how'd the vote go, inquire regarding technicalities or request interpretation of abbreviations or jargon used during the meeting. There will be another opportunity for public clarification following when we open to discuss item 11A. So I see nobody going to the podium. All right, so I'll make that motion to close the meeting to the public so that the regular council meeting be closed to the public pursuant to sections 91 D, E, G, K, and N of the community charter. Is there a seconder? Second by Councilor Lerner. I'll move to call in the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried unanimously. Noting the time is, what do we got? 8:23. We'll take a 5-minute recess, so we'll reconvene at 8:30.